Haunting Ground is so spooky that my pants filled with ectoplasm as I played it. Released just 2 months after Resident Evil 4, Haunting Ground was doomed from the start to obscurity and resale prices so inflated you'd suspect Andrew Dobson was behind them. In Haunting Ground, you play as Fiona, a magical pair of talking titties so kawaii that I want to wear her cervix like a ski mask, and I don't even know how to ski. Accompanying Fiona on her epic quest to open the front door of a creepy mansion is Huey, a German shepherd who fetches hard-to-reach items, bites retards in the nuts, and growls whenever a Jew draws near. More importantly, you can heal Huey by petting him, and during especially steamy portions of the game, petting Huey was a nice change of pace from petting myself. Booby traps, booby traps, litter the highly detailed and immaculately lit environments. While none of the areas are particularly scary, they are visually interesting and fun to explore, which is important since Haunting Ground places an emphasis on hiding from enemies and using the environment against them rather than fighting them directly. The primary enemies that stalk Fiona include Debilitas, a fat-tongued squisher of pets that resembles the male version of Patton Oswalt and whose name is the Latin word for disabled, which is fitting since Fiona is Latin for jiggly tits. This differently abled ruiner of parents' dreams thinks Fiona is a doll, which is fitting since she resembles a hot glue-covered anime figurine during the first few cutscenes, and as a result, if Debilitas happens to catch Fiona, he'll hug her until all of her organs burst, rip off her arms, and wave them over his head while screaming gibberish and shitting in his pants. And to be perfectly honest, perhaps I'm being just a little bit sentimental, but it really warms my heart whenever Debilitas appears, since I haven't played hide-and-go-seek with a retard since my son died. After you kill or befriend the little Gigante, he is replaced by Deborah, a purple-haired maid who is both a mystery and a contradiction. She has drills for hair, but since she lacks the womb and cannot get pregnant, she's actually better suited for screwing. Deborah is such a demure cutie pie that she makes me want to fist her butthole like a boxing glove and pummel my penis into submission. Is that so wrong? Unfortunately, Deborah literally has no sense of taste or ability to feel pleasure, so she'd probably be too busy supporting Hillary Clinton to worship my treasure trove of immeasurable loads shot from my pleasurable chode. Following Deborah, Fiona will be stalked by multiple variations of a perverted grandpa that wants you to sit on his lap, then his face. I find this character particularly interesting, as it is hard for me to hate an antagonist this relatable. Like me, he uses paintings as peepholes, and if this scene continued a little longer, I'd like to think that, like me, he turned that peephole into a glory hole by dropping his underoos and making the portrait just a little bit cockeyed. This personification of dangly old balls is so thirsty to start the ass-off, pants-off, dance-off that he literally crawls around sniffing the ground where Fiona's stanky little feet's touched. And personally, it's a nice change of pace to play a game as a beautiful woman being chased by a disheveled pervert, considering how I spend most of my Saturday nights. And I don't blame him for his transgressions. Fiona is such a hot thought that's ready to trot, even disembodied ghost sperms want to slide inside that bountiful backside. Haunting Ground, also known as Demento, plays like a fully realized clock tower game with dozens of subtle gameplay improvements. This jiggle-piggle runs at a considerable speed, which is nice since most female survival horror protagonists run like they got boat anchors for pussy lips. Every cutscene can be paused or skipped, whether or not you've seen them already. You can open doors without being forced to walk through them, which avoids the problem found in most other old-school survival horror games, where you'll accidentally leave a room, have to sit through a loading screen to enter the next room, then have to sit through another loading screen on your way back. In fact, Haunting Ground procedurally loads all areas that can be entered from your current position, so the only time you'll ever see a load on the screen is when you blow a load on the screen yourself. Though it's not all rainbows and blowjobs, Haunting Ground continues the proud Japanese tradition of games where getting a game over also means being forcibly impregnated. Panic mode makes Fiona feel more like a real-life flesh and blood woman, as the moment things get just a little bit difficult, she becomes completely useless. Crafting items requires the player to roleplay as the full retard alchemist. This is not the box I'm interested in playing with, and fighting is near completely pointless. You can kick these fuckers 1,000 times without them dropping, and when they finally do pass out, it only lasts for a couple of seconds. If you successfully run and hide under a bed like a sock full of cum, waiting for enemies to give up following you takes forever. Over the course of Haunting Ground, the player will confront many mysteries, such as, why was Fiona brought to the mansion? Why was Jill Valentine redesigned to look just like Fiona in Resident Evil 5? And perhaps, most important of all, can Fiona take the knot? While I don't particularly find Haunting Ground to be scary, considering the subject matter, it's probably more scary for women. Unfortunately, the only games women like are the ones they play with my heart. Oh, God! Ugh.